Hey, everybody. No, not late. Not late. It's 8:15 when I said it would start. Eh, Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday's edition of A Flawed Man of God, Asterix Hay Fever edition. Not at my best, but whether I'm at my best or not, I'm a deacon at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a biblical scholar. I haven't been to seminary. I'm not trying to get you to join my church or donate to any special cause. I'm just here to talk about the word, talk about God, talk about Jesus, talk about the Holy Spirit, talk about all the things that make us Christians, and all the difficulties and joys that surround that. So, if you are somebody who is interested in learning more about Christ, learning and establishing a relationship with God, thank you for being here. You're going to get the insights from me. I've been a non-denominational Protestant for my entire 39 years of my life. I don't subscribe to any particular denomination or doctrine. I'm just in the Word every day, trying to be better, trying to live a life closer to God as well as possible. So, with that said, without getting into anything else, if you are interested, be part of the chat. If you are new, be part of the chat. Listen to it, read it, get something out of it. The folks there are just as good, if not better than me. So get what you can from them. And this is a sick stream, and not a sick stream. This is a I'm not feeling all well. I'm all hopped up on Afrin and doing my level best. So I'm gonna make this a relatively short stream. And I figured I just wouldn't get into the word too much. I don't really feel like being here an hour, but you know, see how you guys are doing. Just because Oh no, I didn't try. I didn't review Sabaton this weekend. I actually didn't play much Age of Empires. I need to. I need to. Florida getting big smash. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Got a friend of the show, Christian Mario. He's out in that neck of the woods. I actually sent him a link to the show if he gets it in time. He can come in and give us a quick update because he's I don't think he's very far from that area. Another buddy of mine, he is an EMT. I've got family that lives in Jupiter. They're not getting hit very far, but my buddy is an EMT out there in right there in the hurricane's path. So, um, it's storms like these and incidents like these where we remember people do go through some pretty hard stuff when they're faced with nature at its wildest, and few things are as wild as a storm the size of and or larger than many states in America just tumbling its way through the coast and basically doing whatever it wants because you can't stop it that we know of. So hopefully all you guys are doing all right. Yep, I do, Nernath. They get a little stupider. So, mm. So Dresden's first in the chat tonight. Nico's second, with Neo's uh, final on the platform with the bronze at third. And then Nico bearing false witness, telling people I'm late. I am not. I was here right on time. Right when the dial turned, I turned it on. So I know that's not right. But welcome. Glad to see you guys are here. So I did start. So last night, I went out and got myself a sherbet. That was all they had at Kroger. I went to Publix first. All right, and online, look. I stream 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock ish. Last night started 8 o'clock. Got done 5 after 9. Look on my phone. When does Publix close? Closes at 10. Okay. I'll get into this story later. I got my buddy here. He's coming on, Christian Mario. He wanted to be on the stream Friday, and now he's on today's stream. And are those backup lights, Mario?
Oh, where? Behind me?
Yeah. Are you still got power?
I still got power. These are not generator lights. We're still doing good. So far, the rain hasn't even hit where I'm at. I'm in Tampa, but the only concern I have so far is we had to bring some plants from outside inside. And because of that, now some frogs and lizards are in my house, and we've been catching them because they were just like in the plants. But that's been like the only actual concern so far. But we haven't boarded the house yet. I mean, we're still trying to figure out how directly it's going to hit us where we are. And so we haven't done it yet. But we're Floridians. We're used to waiting to the last minute to do this type of stuff.
It's been a while since something big's happened out there.
I mean, it's been like 5 years, right? Like, wasn't the last big one Irma? Was that the last big one?
Hold on. You're coming in real quiet. I don't think it's not on your side. It's on my side because you're coming in through my television and not coming in through my speakers. Hold on. Oh, hang on.
Might be my
Try now.
How do I sound?
Say something.
Hello.
And now I've done it. Hold on.
A person there said perfect volume. Can you hear me?
Huh. All this was easier when I had a microphone that wasn't built in. All right, we're going to do this a little bit different.
They can hear me.
Oh, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Hear you now. You're coming in right.
I should have said something. I wasn't sure.
Okay, that's better. That's better. Yeah, I knew it wasn't on your side, and I knew the stream was getting it, but it was coming in through this monitor right here, and this was making it difficult. Yes, I'm boomering things because I'm a digital native, but I'm an old digital native. So I didn't have to Google. I didn't say Google make speakers work.
My technological expertise is just turning something off and on again like everybody else. So being a Zoomer doesn't make me any better at that.
Just get on YouTube and look for a solution.
Yeah. No, that's the key. Is just typing it on YouTube. It's the only way.
All right. So y'all are just basically just waiting for it to hit right now, right?
Yep. And it probably nothing crazy till tomorrow night. That's probably
when is it supposed to be getting to you guys?
I haven't checked in a while. I'm not precisely sure. I'm a Floridian. We do not get stressed out about this stuff. We prepared a little, like we moved some stuff inside, and we haven't even put boards up yet. But if we think we're going to hit directly, then we probably will. If we think the winds will be too high, we will. But it might be a tropical storm by the time it hits us. We're going to have to wait till tomorrow.
Yeah. But like I said, my in-laws are in Jupiter, and they're just getting a lot of rain there. They're on the other side. They're on the other coast of Florida, so they're just chilling.
We haven't gotten much at all yet. I think ironically Miami's pretty safe right now. Did they already go through Miami, or is it not going to hit Miami at all? I haven't even been following this. I'm not an expert. I have no idea.
I've got retirees in my house, so a lot of the televisions downstairs stay on the Weather Channel a lot.
Yeah, honestly, the go-to person about the weather has always been the oldest generation. They got it on.
Yeah.
They got
what's the weather doing right now?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you retire, you should just become a meteorologist because that's what they're into naturally. They're always looking at the weather. It's like you might as well get paid for it, you know?
That's what all the nursing homes have in them. This is the weather channel's on. This is what it's doing.
About that too with the hurricane. Like, what about all the people in nursing homes, like boomers and stuff? Like, are they or the people that are losing their minds or whatever? Like, how are they going to react to the storm? I don't know. I was thinking about that because I got some old relatives now. So
Well, they forget about those folks because that's what they did during the pandemic too. Because we're allowed to, and we're
Yeah,
allowed to talk about that now. That it's
true.
just like,
You're no longer in danger of getting banned if you mention what happened in the pandemic. You're in the clear now.
yeah, my buddy Nick got his Twitter banned. When we're talking about banned, Nick Rekieta got banned off of Twitter today.
What?
He ran off. So
What'd he
it's
say?
not it's not his original account. His original account was banned a few years ago because he called somebody a mutant.
A mutant? That's
A
all it
mutant.
takes?
I mean, of all the things to get banned for, I mean, if you've seen some of the discourse, and I'm not innocent of it, but if you see some of the discourse that goes on Twitter, calling somebody a mutant is pretty low on the
That's
on
pretty
the
low tier.
temperature
It's not
reading.
very insulting.
So he created a new one. And he's been through his fair share of spats, especially with the Amber Heard and the Kyle Rittenhouse things that he was covering. But and it was there have been some what do you call them? What do we call them? The people with differing gender identities, that community.
Yeah.
He has run afoul of them and somebody who runs something that was related to Amber Heard, and they got somebody at Twitter's attention that this isn't his original account. This is my assumption, right?
Oh, and
Because
that's where I got him.
the reason for his recent suspension was ban evasion.
Yeah,
Is
that's
what
a
he
big
announced.
one. That's a big one. I don't know how I haven't gotten banned yet. That's
Oh, you especially like I think Easter and Christmas and Easter, when you start to upset the chosen tribe, with some of the things that you say that aren't wrong, right? That are very
and
much
it's not
Christian.
even all that controversial. It's just
It,
like
it's
pretty
not. It's
standard Christian takes, but yeah, you gotta look out. You gotta look out. Look, if there's the key is if you're talking about God's chosen people and criticizing anything God's chosen people have done, you need to lock your Twitter account. You need to lock it immediately, lay low for like 72 hours, and you'll be fine. But if
oh,
you stay unlocked, you're done.
that was the most nervous I've been on Twitter, because it was something in regards to I don't think it was something you said. It was something somebody else said, basically about what happened with with Christ getting crucified, and the crucifixion has been basically turned into this. It's allegedly this anti Jewish propaganda and everything. And if and it's them trying to gatekeep the Old Testament. It's them trying to call us posers in many reasons, just idiots. And
All
then
I
when you
know is they don't have
disagree,
any simple sacrifices, so maybe they're just upset about that. I don't know. I can't keep up. And it's like most of them don't even like the Reform Jews, they're quote unquote practicing Judaism. Most of them aren't even deists or theists even. So I mean, I don't know. You can't take the insults too seriously. And if you look at these people's bios, they're all just like
yeah, that's usually
extremely
that's the
far left.
real tell right there. But I said something, and then all of a sudden it's like, what do you mean by that? I'm like, this is what these are just basic tenets within the Bible. Like, we believe that this happened. It's written in scripture that this happened and this happened. It's not an accusation among an entire people. It's actually really just formatted at a structure that was there at the time. And then they blow it up into this whole, you know,
The thing
you
I
hate
got in
an entire
trouble
people.
the thing I got in trouble for was I said this was like 8 months ago, 9 months ago. I tweeted that I didn't know why. I was making a point. It was for a Christian audience, but I was really talking about prayers to saints. I was
Oh
talking
yeah.
about how within Judaism there were prayers to prophets. And my point was, I was like, well, it makes sense to me that this practice will continue in Christianity as a form of continuity. Well, anyhow, the Jewish people saw that and they took it as an insult because they were like, why are you comparing your religion to our religion? Why are you talking about us praying to prophets? We still do that. What do you mean we used to do that? Are you saying our religion no longer matters? And it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
dude, like I'm just this is a Christian conversation about theology concepts. This has nothing to do with you guys or your religion or what you guys do. I'm not trying to insult you, but you know, once upon a time, it's so just funny. They take it so far, but
Yeah, and all of a sudden it's like, well, you appropriated our religion. It's like this is a completely different.
No, it's like we didn't appropriate your religion. You rejected your religion.
Yeah,
That's what you did. So, you know, and from your perspective, we're some weird group. But I mean, if you all it takes is basically reading the Old Testament to vindicate Christians. If you read the Old Testament, and they'll say, "Oh, you're reading your presupposition into it," but I mean, if you just read it non-passionately, sort of dispassionately and objectively, I'm not claiming to be objective. I just think that if you really look at it, I mean, what is this pointing at? Like it feels like there's some symbolism in these Psalms. It feels like Isaiah is referring to something. Who checks all these boxes? I don't know. Maybe
yeah,
Jesus.
that's the
So it's
whole
kind of
thing.
like I don't know. Just read your own Bible. Honestly, if you read your own Bible, you'd probably be a Christian. If you read the Torah, you'd be a Christian. So because I can prove the Trinity, I can prove Jesus Christ all from the Torah. I don't need the Bible. I don't need the New Testament to prove the Trinity or Jesus Christ. We can do that from the Old Testament alone.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got no excuse.
No, it's just I think there's a lot of sensitivity involved there. Or I take that back. I don't think it's real sensitivity. I think it's just feigned sensitivity because you're on social media. You want an enemy. You want your boogeyman, and you know somebody who's outspoken, and especially somebody who represents a point well is a perfect target for that. So then it's all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're othering me. You're you know you're oppressing me, or you're doing all these other things, you're calling for violence against me, and all of a sudden you're sitting there like, no, literally just discussing Christian
Literally just
beliefs.
discussing theology with other Christians has nothing to do with you. Like we're discussing whether or not, prayers to saints make sense. This really isn't about you or whether or not your religion's true. This has nothing to do with you. So it's very funny just how fast it deteriorates and spins out of control. Like if you ever like talk about continuity between the Old Testament and New Testament, they just call it appropriation. And it's like it's very frustrating. It's like we have a shared heritage here, I mean, we might not see each other as exactly
Yeah,
the
I
same.
mean,
We're not the
there's
same.
definite tension, there's definite disagreements there. It's
Yeah,
because
but there's a
it's
shared heritage that we both claim. I'm not saying we both have it. I don't think they have it, but we both claim it. So
yeah, and we've talked about this on the show before, when there's because there's guys, personalities I'd like, that I would think I would have a great conversation with, but they are Mormon or Jewish or something like that, and I'm like, no, the tenet behind this is I'm not going to bring somebody on the show to have a discussion with them where the basis, the tenets of their religion are offensive to each other. Like, because me as a Christian, you deny, you are still waiting for a Messiah that I believe already exists. That's offensive to me, that you deny that Christ exists. And it's offensive to you coming on my show that I believe in what you believe is a false God, is a false, that's offensive to that point. I don't think that you're going to be, with the way that the format of this show and what this show is designed for, it's not going to be a constructive discussion. So,
yeah, and I mean, if you want to know, because I think at least in the American South, there is a certain love for or certain ecumenism towards Judaism that I find pretty troubling. Where, especially in like very heavily dispensationalist communities, you have like a desire to sort of syncretize Judaism with Christianity, modern Judaism with Christianity, and kind of act like, yeah, Jews are mostly Christian. They're just a little wrong about a couple things. And like that's not the case. I mean, this is not a religion that we have anything in common with outside of a same claim to the same heritage. We make a claim to the same heritage, but we're not the same religion. Not in any, not in
the
any
same
sense.
origin, and we split in a very major way. So, but yeah, no, and that's why, like I said, I've seen you get a fair amount of heat over it. So I'm surprised that you haven't even really gotten much of a warning on the way of that, and you haven't been put on timeout. You haven't.
I got put on timeout one time, like a year and a half ago, but it was over a copyright claim for like a video I did. But I haven't gotten in trouble for my behavior. Generally, I don't name call, and I think that's the main way you survive. You don't name call. Don't call anybody an idiot. Don't call anybody a dummy or an idiot. Like, just avoid those types of terms, and you can make it.
Yeah, I've done that a few times.
And I never say the word gay on Twitter. Like, if you say the word gay, you will get banned. So certain words
I don't think I've used that. I mean, I've used the phrase homosexuality like in the phrase of it's sinful or something like that, or whatever, but I've never. Yeah, I try to avoid, and I think I have for a large part, using any type of slurs to somebody. But I have been known to drop an idiot or you're a dumbass here or there.
I think it's best to imply, make it very clear what you're implying, but don't outright say it. They won't ban you, but if you that's what I'm good at, is being extremely clear about what I'm insulting or what I'm making fun of without saying it out loud, and then you can kind of evade getting banned. And also blocking every single liberal. Just block them all.
Yeah, so I only have one person on my block list, and it was a person who didn't have any interaction with me. They had a ton of followers and everything, but all they tweeted about was what people's birthday was. It was really creepy, right? And so I was like, and they would like different comments I would make every once in a while, but you read through some of the comments that they would make, they clearly didn't agree with my worldview. So I just I don't know what you're doing, but I'm going to just go ahead and block you. But, normal for the most part, I try not to block people, but I'm still.
I used to be big on that. I used to never block anybody, but now I block at the drop of a hat. Like, if you say anything that sounds remotely liberal, I'll block you, because they all mass report. And, you got to, if you don't want to get your account banned, you just got to block these guys. And then people go, oh, you're going to be in an echo chamber. It's like, well, oh, well, I mean,
I'm not really necessarily
echo
worried
chamber
about that.
or I'm banned. So
if that's a problem for you, I guess it's not a problem for me. So I don't have.
Plus, I'm never going to be in a full-on echo chamber, because I'm going to follow other Christians, and we all infight and disagree on everything. So we'll never be in a complete echo chamber.
The one I got recently, I'm gonna share this real quick. So this was a guy, he was talking about let's see this. We were talking, it was an issue with transgender and education system and way people are teaching things, and a gentleman, I think he's a pastor, chimed in, and he had a pretty good, just very sensible, very mild take on things. And this guy comes in with the whole, oh, there's nothing but pedophilia in the church and everything, and it's just and all the first thing that pops in my head if you're talking about pedophilia in the church is Weekland, Bishop or Cardinal Weekland from the Catholic Church, the one who just died, and he checks all the progressive boxes. And so I put this on, I retweeted his thing about evil pedos in the church. And I said, wait till he finds out those pedos and groomers like Weekland almost universally support his politics, or maybe he already knows. And he went immediately reporting this. It's like, why? And he goes, because you implied it. I'm like, I implied that you already knew? Or did you just take it a different way?
Yeah, it just kind of sounds like he got found out and he's upset.
I just, it's such, what's
there to even report there? What's to report there?
Just right. I think he's reporting that I called him a pedophile when.
I mean, look, they go around throwing accusations at everybody. If somebody does the same to them, I got to deal with it,
Yeah.
But I mean, Blaine asks, if you don't want to be called a groomer, maybe don't have an ideology that makes you look like a pedophile. Then
Blaine said, what about cuck? I call a guy cuck multiple times last night. Well, that depends. Are we having a theological discussion with egalitarians?
Imply it. I just imply it. I explain what a cuckold is and then say, you're acting as if a man who would engage. I do it like that. Don't say it outright. You say it outright, you get banned. You just
have to beat around the bush and leave little to the imagination while you do it.
Yeah, just don't leave anything to the imagination, but don't say it outright. You won't get banned.
Yeah. Nico, Nico is a regular on this show, and big time, always showing up and asking questions, and still kind of, I guess, a little bit new on the Christian scene. I've reached out to Hans Feeney, and because he's been interested in learning about Lutheranism. He lives out on the left coast, And so, we've been trying to find something that works for him church-wise. And so he said, this is some interesting stuff between Christians and Jews. And what we're covering big for the most part on the stream as going through the Bible. I mean, we're in 1 Samuel right now. So we're right in the really digging into the middle of, the Israelite culture, which is, where a lot of the Jewish culture is supposed to be derived from. And so we're drawing all these inferences. We're in that origin point where Christians and Jews have very similar, or I believe very similar beliefs. But I don't know about the big thing. I don't know much about is the difference between the Torah and the Talmud, and where the differentiate, what is prioritized and why, where the Talmud came from, and whatever. So
isn't the Talmud, I mean, I'm not an expert on this, but isn't like the Talmud basically like their hadiths? Like it's like their sort of like it's like their church fathers almost. It's like they're right. Like the only thing I know about the Talmud is that it says the Virgin Mary's in hell and that Jesus is in hell, and that's enough right there to make me not want to read it.
yeah.
But
Well, and that's a little bit different. And this is near.
I'm no expert on this stuff. I ain't gonna lie.
No, I mean, I thought it was interesting. He said, yeah, there's some differences, and they read a lot of rabbinical commentary to get into it, getting weird interpretations, which to me, a lot of that really speaks to, and this is what I talk about whenever there's a discussion about, trying with egalitarianism, which is what I wanted us to talk about last Friday, if you to come on, and I'm sure we can get into it. It's taking God's word, looking at it in face value, and then going, how can I get around it? Which is something that it seems like that is such a big player in all the things that happened in the Old Testament after Israel is founded, and when they're how did they start doing all these evil things? How did they get past these rules that God gave them? It's like, well, maybe we can do this. Maybe I can get away with this. And and it's the same trap. You end up not following what God says because you've tried to find loopholes, tried to interpret things a little bit differently, and then you end up with a religion that's very different from what the spirit of it is. So
egalitarianism is one of those things where there's obviously different strands of it and there's different levels of intensity. So some people are going to be, extremely egalitarian, extremely far left. And then you've got other people that are sort of quote unquote conservative egalitarians, which I've heard of, which they're basically just like feminists almost, but they reject gay marriage or they reject, some of these liberal things like abortion maybe. And so, but I mean, it's
that's like, what is that? The Karen Swallow Prior types, where it's just like, yeah, I believe some of these things, but other of these things, because it makes my audience uncomfortable. I'm not really going to hold to it, because
I just don't have the desire to do a bunch of mental gymnastics to make that type of stuff work. It's just very obviously not what Paul's saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, in anywhere, that's when the point where you have to do mental gymnastics, that's really your warning sign that maybe I'm not following. Maybe I'm trying to get away from something I'm not supposed to do, or I'm starting. I'm trying to get around the rules to do something I want to, but I'm not. I shouldn't really be doing.
Yeah, and it's like, everybody does a little bit of mental gymnastics every now and again, but it's like if you're going to build an entire system around something and you have to do nothing but mental gymnastics, it's like this isn't a tertiary issue. This is kind of a big deal. And you're going to be wrong on this. Not worth the risk. I mean, what do you mean I don't get my own planet after I die?
That's well, you've gotten a lot of
I got a Mormon following on Twitter.
You've got a pretty decent Mormon following, but it seems like so the big deal with them is they deny the Trinity exists. Still there?
1 second. Give me 1 second. Yes, they do.
Sure.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, I'll read some chats. So yeah, we got you, Norton or Nath. Our confusion is the Romanians look like Jews, but both worship on Saturday. Is it an insult if it's true, Blaine? That's a good question. Depends on if you're ashamed of it or not, I guess. It's one of those things, people can call me names all the day. If it's something that I'm not ashamed of, I don't care.
Yeah, but Mormons, I got a soft spot for Mormons. I got a lot of love for
I
Mormons.
do too, but because part of it is they're so nice for the most part. And as a community, they stick together very well. So they've got a very good sense of community.
And anecdotally, I've only had like wonderful experiences with them.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I've ever been around them. But what I will say, what's really pesky is that they've sort of put on evangelical cultural, they've appropriated evangelical culture, I think, as a way to kind of fit in. And they've sort of adapted to what most people would see as like a sort of mainstream Christian appearance. And they want desperately to be told that they're Christians because they see like, Lutherans, Orthodox, Catholics, Anglicans, Baptists, whatever. We might have our disagreements, and we might not even agree that we might not think the other one's saved, whatever.
There's a lot of heretics getting thrown around in those discussions.
We all can admit that they're Christians.
Yeah.
But then Mormons are all kind of like, maybe. Nobody's willing to really call them Christians most of the time. They're like, and if they do, they're like, yeah, you're barely.
They're the Palestinians of the Christian world. It's like nobody.
You can't help but feel kind of bad for them. Like they want a little bit of love.
I know, and that's why I said. And some of them, are, just very. There's so many good and wholesome things that they attest to, and that is good about Mormons that you run into, but then there's the whole weird side of it where you get to the actual core of Mormonism, and
but they're not Christian in any real sense because, like, okay, so I'll make a distinction. Okay, I'm gonna go Catholic mode and make a distinction.
That's fine.
I'm willing to say that they're Christians in the sense that they're under the Christian umbrella. Because I think generally when people think of Christians, they think of like Christianity as in like traditional Christianity, Orthodox Catholics, Anglicans, Coptics, whatever, Reformational, Presbyterian, Lutheran, maybe Anglicans too. I don't know where Anglicans lie. And then like Restorationists,
high Protestants,
like Pentecostals, Mormons, Seventh-day Adventists, whatever, and they would
Witnesses.
Jehovah's Witnesses, yeah, sure. So they would fit in that umbrella, I guess, but like, of like Restorationist Christians, but they're not really Protestants. Restorationists aren't really Protestants. I think Protestants, at least most of the confessional ones, they'd fall in the Reformational category. But
yeah.
So it's just kind of like, yeah, they're Christians in like a broad sense, but like, if you really want to like get down to it, they deny basic Christianity. They don't believe in the Trinity. They think Christ is a creature. They also think that God the Father is a creature. They're all created, which is really bad heresy. They think that everybody gets their own planet, which everyone likes to throw out there. But honestly, it's not that weird given the rest of their theology. That's honestly one of the most like kind of normal concepts. That's not that weird to me. Out of their theology, I'm almost more willing to say that that's normal in comparison to everything else they do.
Yeah, like Nath says, Mormons seem like Scientology when you dig deep, and that's what
ish because, yeah, in the sense that they're both culty, sure,
yeah,
but no, in the sense that like Mormonism.
Aliens.
Yeah, Mormonism does have like the alien crossover, but it also has like elements of Abrahamic religion sort of tied into it. I'd almost say that like if I were to compare Mormonism to another religion, I compare it to Islam, because people will be like shocked by that because they'll go, well, Islam is monotheist, like very strictly monotheist. God is one. They always say that, and Mormons are polytheists. So it doesn't make sense that, Islam and Mormonism be in common. But they kind of are, if you think about it, because they both have like a prophet guy who fixes all the mistakes in the New Testament, rewrites it and fixes it, and then introduces his own additional scriptures, and then promotes polygamy, and then has sex with all the women in the kingdom,
That's
and
true.
then changes the
That's
rules
true.
as he goes. I mean, Joseph Smith and Muhammad both changed the rules as it goes. Like Muhammad,
Oh
liked
yeah. Oh
drinking, and
yeah.
then at the
That's
end
a
he wanted to
huge
say he
thing.
couldn't drink. So then he goes, "Oh, never mind. You can't drink." And it's the same thing with Mormonism, where Joseph Smith's figuring out as he goes. At first, they had communion with wine, and then he goes, "Oh, never mind. God said water." And then he keeps changing it, and he kind of.
I had a vision. I had a
Well,
vision.
Hans, because you mentioned Hans earlier. Hans got a really good video, parody video about the devil trying to make a new fake religion to dissuade the faithful Christians, and so he's like, but the devil was supposed to make this new religion for his friend, but he got lazy, and so he had to make something last minute. So he just copied Islam, and
Oh,
that's
I'm
the
gonna have
joke
to
is
watch
that
that. That must be an
Mormonism
old
is just
one.
a copy of Islam. But yeah, no, he does a really good job explaining the similarities. I mean, everything from like isolating the faithful, trying to get everybody in a little tiny group, to like, a prophet rewriting the New Testament. The Old Testament and New Testament didn't get it right. We needed him to come along and fix it. Islam is a restorationist faith too. I think people forget that. I don't think people realize that Islam is a Christian heresy. It's a Christian revisionism. It's not really its own religion as much as it is a Christian heresy. It's a heretical form of Christianity.
It's a man trying to retcon God.
Yeah, he's trying to retcon and fix it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's the same stuff Joseph Smith does. So if we're going to call Mormons Christians, it almost feels like we would have to extend that to Muslims, but they're not under the umbrella. So it's weird how it all works out.
Yeah.
So, but no, I mean,
it's a constellation.
But then also Mormons have like some things that's comparable to the Hinduism, like the polytheism and the planet stuff and the.
Yeah, it's very meta in many ways.
Yeah, and I guess the draw to Mormonism, because I have a buddy who is Mormon, and I don't know, like he finds Orthodoxy and Catholicism very compelling, but he likes Mormonism because it's esoteric, is what he says. He likes the esoteric factor. He likes how odd and like, sort of out there it is compared to Christianity. Christianity's almost too boring for him.
That's such a that's to me that's such a weird concept. Because and maybe it's because I was born in the church, raised in the church, and I'm comfortable here. But the whole idea of what I like, and it's like, well,
who cares?
Yeah, exactly. The truth, and if all you have to do is go through life to understand real quickly, it's not about life existence is not about what you like. So if creation is a truth and God is that truth, there's going to be things in there that you don't like. And that, as I say, you're in the same seat as the egalitarian. So it's like, well, I want a lady goes, I want to be a pastor. So so I don't like it. So I'll just go to the ELCA instead of just accepting, scripture for what it says in my Baptist or my Lutheran, the real Lutheran faith. I won't make that leap over. I just have to understand that there's something I want to do, but I understand because of the rules that are put in place, I can't do it. And I just don't understand. I mean, I've never searched for religion. I've never searched for faith. And that's a big blind spot to me where I can't sympathize with the person. I can't put myself in their shoes because it's just not something I'm very familiar with.
I mean, I think I've searched for, like, I've always known more or less what I believe. It's kind of like fine tuning it is kind of what I've had to figure out. Like, what denomination am I in? And what do I, you know what I mean? Like, kind of fine tuning it. But like the obvious, like the foundation my parents give me, I haven't done away with at all. Like, the Bible being true, the Trinity being true, all those concepts, they're not going anywhere. But like where I belong exactly, where I fit into it, yeah, I've done plenty of searching in that regard.
No, I think, and that's one of the intriguing, that was really one of the most intriguing things I found when I started reading and following you on Twitter, was the fact that, look, here's a guy who's got a handle on his faith as to the degree where I know God exists and I know the Bible is inerrant, but where do I go? But who's got things right? And you've taken a little,
Right.
You've just been looking at the different things and educating yourself along the way, which is to me, I think, a very spiritually mature thing to do.
I
because
appreciate
you're holding to that fundamental concept that really will protect you when you go through these things. Because yeah, I can go through there and said, man, I love this thing that the Catholics do that I think is pretty good, or I think that I have a lot of me personally, a lot of respect for the Orthodoxy and the way that they do things. Not necessarily their online behavior, but that's a lot.
Yeah, I know, but the real behavior, yeah.
The actual, yeah, the guys with the beards that you actually see in church, not the guys that you run into on Twitter. But
no, you don't like the 15-year-old Baptist kid that just discovered Orthodoxy 5 minutes ago. And
yeah, because I found it on 4chan.
Yeah, he thinks it's based or whatever. Yeah. You don't like that guy? Why not?
That's the draw. That's the draw for Orthodoxy. That's the enjoyable part of Orthodoxy. So I understand where it's a draw, but you can't just wear it, right? You have to
That's the thing.
understand it.
You know what gets me is when I decide for sure. I decide where I'm going to go, and I decide to make the leap of faith, the Kierkegaardian leap of faith. When I do it, somebody's going to be pissed. Like somebody who follows me is going to be like, no, I believed in you. I thought you would come to the truth. I thought you'd always stay Protestant.
Oh yeah. Oh, the ring that goes on on your Twitter feed.
They would be upset, or somebody would be, but it's like, who cares? Like, I'm trying to do what's right, and somebody's going to be disappointed. Somebody's going to say I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah, I'm very, to me, I'm just interested in the path. Like, I'm non-denominational, and I'm very open. I have friends of all the different groups, and that's where it's been able to talk to somebody and say, look, this person is a guy who maybe he might be wrong about things that I'm right about, but he's still a more righteous person than I am. And when you see that, that's what kind of opens me up, that we're kind of a broken faith, that we've schismed, and we're broken, fallen people. But at the same time, there's real faith in a lot of these fundamentally sound denominations. So
what's interesting to me is, like, I guess something I hear frequently from people is, because like I've talked about, Orthodoxy, Catholicism, whatever. A lot of times Protestants will say, well, the Catholics are too exclusive, or the Orthodox are too exclusive. But I think what people miss, and this is just true and you can't escape it, is everybody is sectarian to a degree, and everybody is making exclusive truth claims. And, like if you were to ask Martin Luther during the Reformation, like he would have said, no, like the Lutheran church is the true church. Like the concept of the invisible church hadn't really come out yet strong in the Reformation at that point. And he would have said, no, I've got it right. And, the people in the Roman church, they're wrong. And so it's kind of like everybody makes exclusive truth claims. I mean, Presbyterians are going to look at Catholics and say they're idolaters, like they're worshiping Mary, so it's like, it's weird when people go, oh, well, they're so sectarian, they're so exclusive. It's like, we all are. Everybody's making truth claims. Everybody thinks their way is right. And nobody, except for maybe really hardcore people, are going to say everybody's absolutely damned that's not in my communion or not in my group. I don't think that's the attitude of most people. I just think that, to act like, oh, they're so mean, they're so sectarian. It's like, we all are. I guess that's sort of a weird conclusion I've reached recently, because I would say the same thing not that long ago, but talking to my own friends about these different groups, they're like, oh yeah, we need to evangelize these guys. We need to share the gospel with the Catholics. We need to share the gospel with it. So it's like, you can't call them exclusive on the one hand and then say you need to share the gospel with them on the other, so it's just like, we're all exclusive. So, and I respect, like, if I'm being corny, but
I know I respect gatekeeping in that regard, because I think that's a big problem that the Protestants have had, is that we haven't been able to gatekeep a lot of the. That's why you have so many denominations. But you look at the Lutherans, you have the ELCA hanging on to the side, and they're like, they're not real Lutherans. It's like, but they still call themselves Lutherans, because
and aren't they the dominant one? Aren't they the one the most?
I don't know. That would be.
Maybe they're the one with. I know the PCUSA is bigger than the PCA.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember which one has got
Hans is LCMS. And all.
Oh yeah.
I know the good Lutherans are the LCMS and the Wells, and then the really cringe ones is like ELCA, right?
Yeah, I think the ELCA I know is wrong, and I know Wells I've seen has been pretty good, and LCMS is pretty solid. But they've all got their internal struggles, and non-denominations very because we've got a lot of that's where the Hillsongs, that's where the Elevation, they all populate into my non-denominationalism or whatever, and it's just like they just exist and there's nothing you can do about it. Whereas the Orthodoxy, very strict gatekeeping. This is our identity. This is what we believe, and they are much better on the battle to keep modernists out, and these pushes, which I think are from Satan, to modernize the church because to make it reflect society more than bring society to.
The church isn't supposed to be worldly. It's
Yeah.
not supposed to be it's supposed to be heavenly, and I think that's something they get really right. Another thing, something I've noticed with some of my friends, like one of their biggest critiques of Catholicism and Orthodoxy will be like really tertiary things, like, oh, I don't believe there's enough evidence for the existence of this saint from this time period, or this hagiography doesn't make enough sense. And it's kind of like, dude, like you're nitpicking such like random stuff to just go, oh, I don't, so I respect it when people actually have like real issues and not just like sort of like vague gotchas.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and that's, I don't know. Like I said, it's one of those things where can't we just get along? But at the same time, it's just like, no, we can't, and we're gonna have those arguments. And to me, it's just like you got to be able to go to bed at night loving your guys, because that they are, y'all might disagree on something. You might think that the Marian infatuation that you see with a lot of Catholics is idolatrous. And that they might think that you're a heretic, you're a schismatic, and that's a big problem. Oh no, you're a schismatic, but we are still. To me, it's just like, what are these questions when you get from God? And I've talked about this on the show. Is God going to be like, yeah, you didn't think the Eucharist was the actual body of Christ, so I don't think that you're going to get in. Other than, as opposed to, you took communion, you thought you revered it, you felt it was holy, it was word I'm thinking of, but sacred. You treated it as sacred, and it was meaningful for you. So yes, you did this correct, and that's where that I think you get into those like iffy questions. But you didn't go to confession, and you didn't confess to an actual Catholic priest. I don't know, man. I don't think I can let you into heaven now. It's
you gotta make sure you pass St. Peter's theology test.
Yeah, exactly. Where we're gonna get the litmus test when you get into before you can pass over the pearly gates. So let me read some chats real quick. And because I thought I started seeing I was getting a little far down the list. Nernat said, when you're disillusioned with the former truth, you begin to search for a new one that appeals to you. That is how you forget feelings and preference in religion. But bet the dude was disappointed and wanted to not be disappointed again. And yeah, I think that's
that's actually, it's a really good analysis of my friend who became Mormon.
And you see that a lot with the people who deconstruct. That was whatever that Megan girl is on Twitter, who's like this, I don't know, she's some sort of, she always pops up. She's got some sort of beef with John MacArthur because she went to his church and something bad happened, and ever since she's like this like super crusader against traditional Christian values. But that's what you see. She got hurt by a church, and what was waiting in the wings is believe in something different, as opposed to what did they do to you wrong that was against Scripture? Not, I need to find something else to believe in that kind of verifies my vindicates me in my anger with the church. So that you see that all the time, and I think that's where people are drawn to orthodoxy. And I'm not saying I'm not trying to lump orthodoxy in with deconstruction, but
wait, no. I mean, you make a point, like let down by evangelicalism, therefore I'm going to go to this.
Yeah. And the orthodoxies, is appealing to the point where it's kind of running the other way. It's like, I'm going to run to Scripture because I think evangelicalism has, failed. And so, so much. in what they believe. And it's hard to argue against that. There's been so much failure on Big Ava's part to stay theologically sound, because look, deconstruction's big out there. It just is. That's part of the threat when you are non-denominational or one of these more loosely aligned denominations where there's not a whole lot to tie you to doctrine, where you can just float wherever you want to or wherever your feelings take you. Blaine says, the only search I've needed was finding a lead pastor who doesn't cry during every ending prayer. More common than you think. Well, you won't find that at Glenn Beck's church probably, because he probably cries all the time. That was always the weirdest thing about him. So we don't have to worry about you going over to the Mormon church. Did you
Glenn Beck? The one thing I'll say about Glenn Beck that's really good is he got a lot of Christians. He saved a lot of Christians' lives when he got those airplanes. I can't remember where. No, I just remember reading
the Afghanistan. Wasn't he part of the Afghanistan airlift?
Yeah, he helped get Christians out.
Oh yeah. No, that was a big thing.
God bless him. Honestly, God bless him.
He puts a spotlight on a lot of things. Did you hear that he got Elijah Schaffer? He fired Elijah Schaffer for basically saying.
I'm going to have a weird opinion on that. I actually think that that's okay.
What that it's okay that he fired him?
Yeah.
I mean, look, I don't know what Elijah Schaffer's opinion is on it. I mean, I think he's probably a little bent out of shape about it, but yet at the same time,
you knew, and someone publicly made fun of my religion, I'd probably fire him.
Yeah, I mean, what you're doing. You're poking the bear. So
you're poking the bear. He knew what he was doing. He got fired.
I don't think.
I like Elijah, but I mean, he did what. Yeah, dude, I can't blame Glenn Beck for that.
He is a wild. Listen, I've caught him on Nick's stream a couple of nights where he is. I mean, he is a handful, and I'd be interested
to him. I saw him at a bar, and I yelled, "You're taller than I thought you were," and then he glared at me, and then I walked out. And that was my only interaction I've ever had with
Elijah Schaffer.
Yeah, because I went to a conservative event, and there was Michael Knowles there, and Elijah Schaffer, and Baked Alaska. That's a pretty controversial one.
Ooh.
So.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've only caught him a couple of times. He seems like a really interesting person to kind of sit down and really pinpoint, because he's kind of like the Andy Kaufman. He's kind of like an Andy Kaufman personality. You don't know where how much he's acting and how much he really believes some of the things he says, because some of the things he says are, to me, they're bombastic, right? So how much is it shock value because he wants to laugh or he wants to get people thinking, and how much of it is this is all me. This is all I'm 100% authentic. And maybe he is everything he says he is. But it'd be interesting to sit down and have like a real honest conversation of where he lies religiously on things. But I thought that coming out and saying, look, I'm a Christian, I believe that, I have to take this standpoint was pretty
respect.
But I also think it sounded like his time over at the Blaze or in Glenn Beck's network was coming to an end a few months beforehand.
No way. I mean, like, love it or hate it, I mean, Glenn Beck is a boomer. He's a boomer. I mean, maybe he's not generationally a boomer, but his tier of content it's boomer tier content. It's not going to resonate with the younger generation. Elijah, he's got a different demographic. He's had Nick Fuentes and John Doyle on.
Really?
They're Gen Z political figures that are very prevalent among Gen Z right-wingers.
He's never been shy to bring a controversial figure on, though. So
no, I admire that about him.
MR, glad to have you back. I know I've missed you, man. You haven't been on in a while. John Smoth, you can be Anglican and piss off the Protestants, Orthobros, and Papists in one fell swoop. You can be any denomination and piss off everybody else, because I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. He's come in there like me coming in. I'm not a Baptist. Everybody, no, you're a Baptist. You just don't know it yet. Or, you see the Orthodoxy guy come in, and then he's got, with some super hot take, and all of a sudden everybody's piling on him. And then the next thing you know, you got a Twitter circular firing squad going on. It's
pretty ugly. Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't stand it when I first got into Twitter, and now that I've kind of understand the nature about it a little bit more, there's still parts of it where I cringe and be like, we're better than this, but then there's other parts where I go, okay, this is just some horseplay going on out there. Nernea, I'm not sectarian. All the groups are wrong, and I know I'm the only one who has it correctly. He's close, unless we disagree.
Respect it. I respect it.
John Smoth, real presence is the way. Hey, man, I'm open to it.
I'll convince you of that on a stream sometime.
You don't think he'd be mad at you? You threw away his son's literal body and blood. Look, I've got a wastebasket full of these stupid pre-packaged communion things, and this is where is where they ended up. Blaine said 12 years of Christian school down the drain if Peter doesn't give us a test. Look, that was your money.
Yeah, Look, I'm counting on you. I'm counting on you.
I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this. And he's like, oh, yeah, you're good. Come on. And you're like, what? You see all the if the universalists are the whole thing, if the universalists are true, like what's your buddy buddy John Wallace on Twitter?
Henry Wallace. He just got banned. I had to block him. I got along good with the guy actually, but I blocked him because he started mass reporting people, and I was like, I'm not going to run that risk.
Dude, no, because that's what it was. I mean, it got pretty ugly there because there's just some people I just avoid. I thought like I don't necessarily talk to, what is it, Milton Thomas. I know he's a buddy of yours.
Oh yeah, he's a homie.
He says some things that I find hilarious, but but
he's polemical. I think that's the thing people don't get about Milton Thomas is he's extremely polemical. He's extremely offensive. He's extremely rude. I mean, he's offensive to Orthodox, Protestants, you name it. I mean, he's very rude. But I mean, he's my friend, and I like the guy.
Yeah, I was trying to bait him into an argument because
but I'm the same way as him. I'm the same way as him, so I respect it. I get it.
I mean, look, he's forceful in his beliefs, and like they are fundamentally, they fundamentally check the boxes. He just doesn't give a whole lot of grace to the other people who are. But I tried to bait him into an argument because he was like he had tweeted about the Italian lady who just got elected. And he goes, "Too bad she's not a man." And I said, I said the same thing about
funny stuff like that's kind of funny.
Oh, I thought it was hilarious. I said the same thing about Pope Francis. And he didn't respond. He didn't respond to it. I thought I was gonna get a reaction out of him on that, but
nah.
I thought it was a good get. It's that one where you just slide that comment in and it's a good burn, but then they just ignore it and then you feel like
I've never tried to argue him on a timeline because he's a better debater than me. He's a better arguer than me.
Oh, he would probably destroy me theologically because I'm just not.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he knows all this stuff and all this. I still think he's wrong for the record. I don't think he's right. But, yeah, he's smarter than me. Like, congrats. So is everybody. Like, big deal.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Smart guy. I think he's got a bright future. I think he's going to be one of the biggest Catholic apologists over the next
How old is he?
He's 21.
Wow.
His wife cooked me spaghetti. Great guy. I had a cigarette with him. Really like him.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I thought that was pretty cool. Just seeing that y'all hung out and everything. And I was like, but yeah, he comes like he again another bombastic personality, but very mature in his.
Yeah, but he makes Twitter fun.
Twitter fun. I mean, oh man, yeah, it's funny. Like, cause he's taking a lot of heat on some things, but at the same time,
he lives for that. He lives for that stuff. He enjoys it. So,
but he's noticed for it. He's noticed for it, and he has, you have significant. I would love to see him start really getting some attention for some of these. Who's that? That Jesuit priest Martin, who's out there. He's one of the older guys. He was the one who had to backtrack after Weakland died, and he said, "Oh, he was a good guy and he was a friend of mine." And it's like, dude, that guy covered up.
He was defending pedophiles. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that's what I want to see. I want to see Milton Thomas get him. I want to see like like just torpedo him at him and really just wreck him publicly, because I mean, that to me, that's what the Catholic Church
got
really
piled
needs.
on. He got piled on.
Oh, it was so great. It was beautiful. It was beautiful, because that, I mean, that's the problem, and that's what I fear, because like I said, I know a lot of people got good friends that are deep in their and their Catholicism is very obviously, it's very important to them, and the structure and the belief and all that stuff is important. So what happens if the trajectory of the Catholic Church keeps heading in the direction that it's heading in, where
well, if it's going to get better, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better.
Yeah, I think that something's
I think that we're going to start seeing promotion of some pretty lame stuff like LGBTQ and things like that. I think they're going to use development to explain it, and I think we'll see women priests before the end of my lifetime.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if within 20 years that goes on, and I'm wondering.
I mean, maybe not 20, but 30 to 40, I could see it.
It's moving so fast. It seems like it's moving. It's not moving super fast. Like.
I mean, the church still hasn't come out and promoted homosexuality yet. Still hasn't. I mean, like there's the German churches, but I mean, the church itself, the Vatican, has not done that.
No, but it seems like they're skirting the issue. Now, they're not moving as fast as society has moved on some of these things, where what was taboo 10 years ago is now, if you don't believe that this is okay, you're a bigot and you need to be canceled. They're not moving that fast, but it seems like they are moving fast. There's still a lot of momentum heading in that direction. So that's why I say 20 years is probably reasonable.
Yeah, probably
to believe, because if Francis, whenever Francis passes away or steps down or whatever, he's basically set up a bunch of cardinals now that are going to find
also
somebody
probably Jesuits and like-minded types, and it's not.
Yeah.
I don't see anything. I don't see them getting their based Pope, their based St. Pius X. I don't see that happening.
Do Jesuits exist under the umbrella of Christianity?
Yeah, loosely. Sure.
That's what it feels like. Like nobody likes them, it seems like, except for other Jesuits.
No, they suck. They suck. Not a fan. I got nothing.
Yeah, me neither. Which is weird, because like they did
a lot of missionary work. I'll give them that.
It's like the Star Wars thing. It's like, you were supposed to bring balance to the Force. Like, you were supposed to be like the champions of Christianity, and what have you become? You've become the enemy, right? The enemy within.
So true.
All right, let's say Elias says, love thy God with all your mind and all your heart. Love thy neighbor as you love yourself. Take God at his word. Take his gift. Do your best to follow. Remember, it's not of works. Very much, Elias, thank you. That's very much the theme of this show, right? We're all here just hanging out, trying to make each other better. Nunea said, hate to burst your bubble, but I hear Beck got paid to pull the U.S. AdSense degrees to write poems. I mean, look, if it did, it did. I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised, but it still was a good thing. I'll say that. I'll double down. I'll say it was a good thing.
Yeah. I mean,
not that he got money, but that people in Afghanistan were flown out.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the saying. Lives got saved. Maybe he got.
Maybe his motives suck. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same. When I saw Knowles at the bar that I was at, he seemed very pretentious and unapproachable. So
Who is Knowles? I've heard that name pop up.
Michael Knowles. He's a conservative commentator.
Okay, that's right. Michael Knowles. Okay, that's where it was. As long as it's prepackaged wafers, not waivers, and juice didn't go through the prayer consecration, you probably won't suffer for throwing them in the trash, because it's not real communion, non-denominational and Baptist BTFO.
All right, Stuart, it's been good talking. I got to head off.
Yeah.
So,
all right, sir. Well, stay safe during the hurricane. And,
hey, if you don't hear from me for a while, you know what happened. I'm kidding.
Yeah. All right, man. God bless.
Be praying for the people on the coasts. So.
Oh yeah, especially the elderly, like you said. All right, man. All right, everybody. Christian Mario. I'm not leaving, MR. You can stay. You can stay if you want, or unless you're talking to Mario. MR. No, seriously. Welcome back. I noticed that you've been gone. You and Wild Weeb are the two that came on quite regularly that I haven't seen as regularly as possible. Guys, I am creating a locals. I started setting it up this evening right before I was streaming. I was putting it together just because, like I said, look, this Afrin is working, man. This Afrin is working. My wife says, don't you take it more than twice because it's highly addictive. And I said, challenge accepted. But yeah, I wasn't feeling all that great. I said, I don't want this to be a long stream. And here we are. It's an hour already. Now I probably got another 15 minutes in me. But Mark, good to have you back. Please check things out. And that's part of the reason why the locals thing is getting set up. And Nico set up a Discord as well. They got to the point where things were if something's going on and I'm not streaming, I want to give you guys a heads up so that y'all know, hey, I'm running late, just so you know. Yeah, I know that you guys aren't. Some of you guys are unbelievably. I'm humbled and awed by the fact that you guys continually come in and watch this stream day in and day out. And that's a beautiful thing. And I'm glad that you're finding community or something that I'm saying that is sticking with you, that just you want more of it. That's great. And because of that, I want to set up a place where I can put information out there that you can find, where you can get a notification. Hey, I'm running late. The stream's gonna be later than normal, or hey, I just don't have time tonight, or I'm not feeling well, or for whatever reason something's popped up. Or maybe just do something more exclusive on locals that's a little bit more personal, that I don't necessarily want to put out on YouTube, but still want to share with you guys. I don't know. It's not something I don't want you sending me any money. That's not the point of this. That's never been the point of this. And then to the point, like I said, whatever I get out of this, 90% of it's going to go to charity. I might invest the other 10%. I'll probably just invest it into this show, where maybe I'll do more. I'm getting ready to cancel Rumble because I'm not getting. No, I'm not Neo. I'm getting ready to cancel Rumble just because I haven't streamed on there in a while. I didn't get a whole lot of traction on it, and so it's not worth the money. But yeah, and I'm going to do the same thing on Discord. I have a Discord. That's fine. But yeah, it's, it is what it is. I just want a place where you guys, the guys and gals who tune in and day out, I don't have a way of getting information to you guys other than showing up on stream. And if I'm not going to be able to show up on stream, it's easier for me to just put something on locals for you. So, and like I said, maybe it's just another avenue for this community, which is great because, like I said, MR, Wild Weeb, folks who haven't been here for a while. Neo Rice, maybe he doesn't participate in the chat, but still would like to drop a line sometime or get some information. That's a good. I think that's a good platform for it. Same thing with the Discord. Like I said, Nico, thank you very much for setting that up. I've just still got to figure some of the Discord stuff out, but and yeah, and that might help with communicating things with the show as well. So no women. Women are a myth on the internet. Women were a mistake. So, but yeah, just Mario was somebody I wanted to get on. We'll bring him back on to talk more about egalitarianism because I think it's a very interesting topic. It's one that's kind of reached out to me recently, egalitarianism, and been in my reached out and try to insert its way into my personal life, and I've had to fight back against it. Not that I've been tempted with it, but that it's been hanging around in my sphere of influence, and I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it at all. And I am very much a complementarianism. I think that there are women I think that women have unique talents and assets that work that work that men cannot, and vice versa. But paired together, you make a very firm foundation for helping each other out in your spiritual life and in your family life with having kids. It's just, we were meant to be together. That from the beginning, Adam and Eve sinned first, and for that reason, we always get to make those jokes. That's just it. Women can joke about how guys we never remember anything you tell us, and that we can't go to the grocery store and get the right thing, but you always forget that you aren't specific with us enough on what you want us to get at the grocery store. So, but you still hold it over our heads and we can't get anything right when you send us out to do an errand. But those things exist, right? And there are strengths and weaknesses, and there are roles and responsibilities that we are given by our gender, because we are who we are, because that is how God designed us. And it's not put down to somebody to be a woman. It is not a put down to somebody to be a man. You should be, I don't want to say pride, but you should take joy in the identity that you have within God, right? Do not take joy in the identity you give yourself outside of it. But yeah, it's one that I've been hammering on recently. And there's a lot of temptation out there to bring in these women speakers who would rather you listen to them as opposed to listen to the Bible. So, all right. MR, I'm here. Yeah, Mario. I was studying for the bar and writing a book after it. Hey, cool. I was no tech for a while. Not really a bad thing. Be careful with the Angron. My girlfriend just had to. Oh, Afrin. My girlfriend just had to detox. LOL. My nose is running again. I have a rather large nose. If you ask Nico, it's larger than most. But no, I mean, I feel better. Having a conversation always perks me up, right? But yeah, I'm not really in a desire to go get the Afrin. Yeah, but yeah, I've heard it's really addictive. But congratulations on, hopefully the bar thing went well. Congratulations on writing a book, and separating yourself from tech. Great. I'm glad that now that you're introducing it back into your life. Glad that you're tuning in again. Porcupine. I left the church in my teens due to hypocrisy of my peers at my school/church. It was me striving to be a better man, husband, father that brought me back to the church and a straying community. Very similar for me, Porcupine. Like I said, I was ostracized from my church just because of my personality and the fact that I wasn't a popular kid in school. It was very weird because I was eating lunch with friends after church Sunday, and we were at the restaurant, and one of the wife of a good friend of mine, who I'm also friends with, she went to my church at the same time. We went to high school together. We went to elementary school through high school together, and we went to church together. And then one of the gals who was one of the people who were rude and not very well and unwelcoming to me. She was there at another table not far from ours, just having a good time after her church. After she got out of church, she came over, she said hi. She probably didn't even recognize me, and she probably doesn't even know what she did wrong. She probably wouldn't even admit that she did anything wrong. That was part of the problem with that church. But that's I did not feel welcome at that church, and so I stopped going. But my brother, on the other hand, was very much involved, and they ended up failing him miserably, to the point where I have a lot of anger and a lot of resentment towards the folks in the hierarchy. And I have used, and while I need to be able to let that go. It probably just means I have to have, it's probably going to take me having a face-to-face discussion, probably with the pastor of that or run-in with them at some point for me to just get it all off my chest and tell them exactly what I think, to get over it, because I know they're never going to apologize. But that's that's a hang up I have. But at the same time, it's just because of that, I'm just frustrated with me. And I left the church and I said, look, this is what happens at churches. This is why I don't need church. This is why, church is a bad thing, bad place. And while I was in that gap, I made a lot of mistakes as a Christian and as a man that I shouldn't have, that I have to live with, right? But I'm back at the church, came back to church, recentered myself, and I am happy with the person I've become. Not perfect. I still screw up, but I'm much happier. I'm in a much better place now than I was beforehand. So yeah, a strong community is what you meant, Porcupine. But yeah, right there with you. I think we have a very similar background in that. Neo, I'm not going to make an OnlyFans, and I should not make an OnlyFans. Feet pics, nose pics only. We could do live voice chats or even watch parties on Discord. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I've never. The only thing I've done on Discord is use it as a way to communicate with people through video games, mostly through computer games. So. Thanks for making me have to get my head dunked, babe. Yeah, thanks for me having to work hard every day. Thanks for us getting kicked out of literal paradise. Oh, you have labor pains, babe? Well, the only reason you have that is because blah, dot, 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 dot. So, all right. Guys, this is every time I say this is going to be a quick stream, it's not. I was glad Mario was able to come on. But like I said, once I get the locals thing set up, and I'll put the link out there. So keep checking back, because I don't think I have a link to set out for everybody yet. It's still under review. Yeah, it's still pending. Your community has been submitted for approval while it is pending. Why not take the time to set up your community and your creator admin? Why don't you get the time for that? Not Ricada. No. You popped in a little bit late earlier. We talked about that briefly, that Nick's Twitter got banhammered out of the timeline. It'll be interesting to see what his comments are on that this weekend. And now, like I said, I was just I've got an idea for a show that I want to do with him. I've talked to you guys about it. It's about government. He's a small L libertarian. I'm less than that, probably. But our theologies don't match up a whole lot in some respects, and they match up a whole lot in others. So it'll be interesting. I would love to get his take, and he's willing to do it. So we just need to just line that time up. So listen to Sabaton tomorrow. That way I can hear your thoughts on Thursday. I mean, I might listen to it tonight. Might hop on Twin Peaks Hospital, the new version of Theme Hospital. The new version of Theme Hospital, Two Peaks Hospital. That's what I just started playing that one again. 2 Point Hospital. I like management games, dude. Guys, I don't know why. I like a lot of games, but those ones, they just have I have a soft spot in my heart for them. Anyway, so I might listen to Sabaton while I'm doing that. And then I'll probably close 2 Point Hospital and open up Age of Empires, and then build a bunch of winged hussars, and send them out in the battle and kill everybody. just spam winged hussars, and just be annoying. The nose isn't bigger than Ricada's. Debatable, but yeah, they're comparable, I think. The Twitter thing made you rage. Yeah, I was irritated about that. Irritated about it because it's so stupid. Stardew Valley, if you haven't tried it, slow pace with good management. Hang on. I think I might have that on my to get list. Hang on. I swear I think I've seen that. I think it's come up as a recommended. Whoa, you were slow today. My computer is in dire need of a rebuild. Oh, is this like Farmville? I like the sprites style of this. Like it's an old SNES RPG style of game. Interesting. Nernaeth, with less people I like on Twitter, I might give it up eventually. It's too good for me for sports. And not only that, but there are some good, there are some really good Christian accounts to follow on there. And like Thaddeus Patrick is a great one. No Jesuit Tricks is another great one. Hans Feeney, another great one where you can get just like you could scroll down your timeline and next thing you're like somebody, one of these guys says something very profound, very, very fitting. And you're like, damn, I needed to hear that. So this boomer is showing. It will, as it does. MR, it has a lot of elements deeper than you'd think. I play it to relax. We can do 4-person farm. Yeah, I might check it out. Do they have fat jokes though? Have I seen one now? I don't think I've seen the fat jokes though. I haven't seen really the fat jokes are on YouTube. So, all right, guys, let me get out of here. Let you guys get back to your regularly scheduled. Nernaeth says that 4-person farm sounds like communism. All right. Guys, let me let you get back to your regularly scheduled lives. And thanks for stopping by. Thanks for coming back, MR. Thanks for finding your way back. Alias, too. Sorry. Alias, I know I've seen you come in there a couple of times. You had a couple of really good comments that I wrote. And I know you pop in and out. I don't know how much you're listening. But, always glad to see you in the chat. Neo, MR, Nernaeth, Nico, Porcupine, Blaine, John Smoth. I said Alias. Yek. I know I saw you in here because I know you followed followed Mario in here. And I think that's the group. Oh, in Dresden. Of course, Dresden. Dresden was first in here. All you guys. You guys are great. So, see you guys maybe tomorrow. You know what? I'll make the effort tomorrow. My son's got soccer practice, but he's also going to the state fair. And so I'll probably just be doing soccer practice with the rest of the kids. And so I'll probably just stream when I get back. So I'll see you guys tomorrow if you guys come in. In the meantime, good night and God bless.